why Nova sucks, or Northern Virginia. Virginia as a state is a beautiful state. Don't get me wrong. It is. But Nova is another animal. Nova is really expensive. Cost of living in Northern Virginia or Nova is not something that the average Joe can live. I mean, you're not going to find rent anything under $2,000 a month for a one bedroom. It's going to go on up from there, and it really all depends on the area that you live in. And then the houses, they can range from over $300,000 on up into the millions. Nova has a lot of freaking, how can I put this? A lot of rich people. There's a lot of people in Nova that are rich, make a lot of money, and it's just not for people that don't make a whole bunch of money. Traffic is also another big thing. Traffic sucks in Nova. It really does. And that's mostly because if you really look at Virginia and you actually look at the population, majority of the people live in Northern Virginia or Nova. And there's a reason why. Mostly because a lot of people have government jobs and commute and work in D.C. or somewhere in that area. Plus, Nova has a lot of headquarters for some of the government agencies, like CIA, FBI, things like that. There's a lot of military bases in Northern Virginia. So a lot of people are traveling from the suburbs, whether that be Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, all the way down to Stafford and Fredericksburg, and they commute all the way up into Nova or into DC, and they go to work. Traffic on 95, especially during rush hour, sucks. Especially, it lightens up, it seems like, right after Fredericksburg, so going into Spotsy, and then it starts kind of picking right back up when you hit more of the city area, like Richmond. But 95 is crap during rush hour. And since there's a lot of construction, it sucks really in general to travel on. Route 1 is an option, but a lot of the people that hit traffic there hit Route 1. Also, 66 can be a backup. All the main highways, 28, the Beltway, and 495, all that's just congested. But then again, it's the proximity of DC and people traveling up and down to get home and back to work. Plus going state to state and wherever they're traveling to. This is a statewide thing, but property taxes, or not properties, I meant car tax or their personal property tax. That's statewide. But it sucks because personal property tax is not something that every single state has. And if you don't know what it is, it's pretty much a tax on your car. So if you have an older car, you're going to be paying less. If you have a newer car, you're going to be paying way more. Virginia, I looked it up. It's the #1 state for the highest taxes on your personal property tax or car tax. And for instance, I'll give you a couple of examples. A 2005 Dodge Grand Caravan, you can pay $60 a year. And that's for if you have multiple vehicles, you'll be paying taxes on all those vehicles. But imagine, and this is true, you can even look it up, you'll have a 2024 brand new car, and at the end of the year, after you buy it, you'll be paying thousands of dollars for that car. It really all depends on how much it's worth, because really depending on the area, like I looked it up, it says it really all depends on the county it's registered in. Like Alexandria, I believe it's $5.25 or $5.25 per $100 valued assessed on your car. Other places are $4.25 per $100 assessed on valued on your car, and then it goes on from there. So I've seen a comment on a video where this guy's a farmer, and he said that he got a brand new truck and then he had to sell it because he couldn't afford the property taxes on that truck. And it's because he was paying $4,000 on that truck that year. And that's every year. And yeah, cars depreciate, so it's most likely going to go down over the years. But just imagine paying thousands of dollars every year for just one car. Or if you have 2 or 3 cars that are newer, that's a lot of money. And then also a downside to it in this whole state, not just Nova. If you don't pay these property taxes or personal property tax, eventually they can garnish your wages, because it will happen. And they can also not let you register your car again. So what I mean is, just say your car needs to get a new tag, the little sticker on it for the date and or the month and the year. Just say that's due. Go to the DMV. You can do it online sometimes, and they tell you, oh, you owe taxes on your car, so you're not going to be able to renew your tax. Some people in the DMV will give you like a couple month extension, but that's all you'll get. And if you don't pay for it, then they're pretty much saying fuck you. So just make sure, if you move to Nova or even just Virginia in general, make sure you know about the personal property tax, aka the car tax, because some people don't realize that Virginia has that and Nova has that, and they get kind of screwed over. Also, inspections. This is a statewide thing too. And state inspections. It's not a lot of money, but you got to make sure your car is up to date every single year. It's like $16 or $20, I forget, but it's like $16 or $20 a year. Just get your car inspected at certain shops to do inspections. And they can fail you for simple things. Like, I remember looking up somebody that failed inspection for having their high beam lights a different color. So just remember that. Also, just make sure that anything on your car that could be broken, like for instance your lights to your tires, your shocks, what's the other one? I can't think of it. Your brakes are all good, because they'll fail you if any of those, if your tires are too worn down, or your brakes are too worn down, or your shocks aren't good. A lot of places will fail you. Also, emissions. Emissions is more of a Nova thing or Northern Virginia thing. It's pretty much, you take it to the shop, they test the emissions coming out of your car, and if it's too much, if there's too much emissions coming out, they'll fail it. It really all depends. But if you live in like the southern part of the state, central part, or like over there in the mountains in the western part of the state, you really don't have to worry about that. You just got to worry about inspections. But just mind you, if you have an older car and you live in Nova, make sure that your emissions and everything dealing with your emission system is up to check, because you're not going to be able to sit here. You'll just fail. And it's true. It happens all the time. Sorry about that. He's yapping at a cat that's under that truck. But another thing, weather. This is a total Virginia thing, but Nova is a part of it. It's the weather. Hot and humid in the summer. Spring can be cool. Sometimes it can be hot. Really all depends. So it can be a bit bipolar sometimes. Same with fall. You can go from summertime weather in August and July, or July and August, and then go into September and October, and it can still sometimes feel like it's summertime. And then some days it can feel just like fall. It really all depends. Winter especially. Winter isn't as cold as New York or Montana or any of those other states that are up north. There's also not a lot of snow. You're not going to see 5 foot of snow on the ground. You might see from no snow all the way up to like a foot or two. Well, Virginia and Nova doesn't really get that much snow. A couple years ago, just a foot of snow, I believe that's how much in some places got 2. The whole of 95 got shut down. Like, people are stuck out there. You can look it up for yourself. People were stuck on 95 in Virginia, mostly around Stafford area on up. For miles, people were stuck on 95 for a few days because there was a bad accident and there was no way to get off. It's just crazy. But Virginia and Nova really doesn't get that much snow, but whenever they do, it's kind of a clusterfuck here. People like to go and panic buy a lot, but I feel like that's in any state out there. People love to panic buy. Let's see. If you like anything of the 4 seasons, you'll like Virginia, but if you don't, you won't like Virginia or Nova. You won't like any of the heat and humidity. A lot of the bugs come out in the summer. They kind of go away in the wintertime though, so you don't really got to deal with a lot of bugs compared to Florida. Florida, you got to deal with bugs year round. So if that's not your thing, all 4 seasons, or even just a certain part of the season, then Virginia or Northern Virginia may not be for you. Taxes, they tax you all day on things. They tax you on income. So, for instance, state income tax. Virginia has that. Nova has that. So if you don't like state income tax, you're not going to like Nova or Northern Virginia. And they tax you like crazy on it. You could be paying thousands of dollars to the state on your from your income. So if you get paid weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, whatever, you're going to be paying the state. It sucks, but it happens. Unlike Florida and other states like that, you don't got to deal with income tax. But Nova and Virginia do tax you a lot on everything else too. Sales tax, gas tax. There's a lot of other taxes. So just be mindful of the taxes. I can't really think of anything else right now off the top of my head. You can let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And if I missed out on anything about Nova, or really Virginia in general. And those are just the cons of Nova.